What is up, light beams? This episode of The Know is brought to you by Cinderfit. In case you missed it, I started using Cinderfit blocks in my workouts and I am absolutely loving them. Cinderfit is a design-oriented fitness brand based in Miami, 305, what it do, and they have created these awesome, versatile, weighted, and very chic Cinder blocks that are a super asset to any gym or home workout. I can't wait to tell you all about my experience with them mid-episode, and you already know you are going to be able to use my unique promo code NikkiSpo when you check out at www.cinderfit.com. Thanks to Sana Skin Studio for supporting the Know podcast. Sana is a skin studio that is shifting the relationship with your skin and your products through goal-driven facials, real guidance, and clean skincare. Stay tuned for our promo code so you can receive $25 off of your first facial at Sana Skin Studio. Welcome to the Know podcast with me, Nikki Spo. Ladies and gentlemen, stand up and make some noise. I am just kidding. We are not at a heat game. No siree, quite far from one. Nope, you're just here. You're listening to The Know, and I am your hostess, Nikki Spo. And today we are continuing our mental health discussion with Dr. Rachna Buxani-Mirpuri. And before I tell you about Doc, I want to remind you to subscribe to the show so you can stay in the know, obviously. And if you're feeling called to leave me a 5-star rating and review, it would mean the world to me. So, right. Dr. Rachna Buxani-Mirpuri is a licensed mental health counselor practicing in Florida and the founder of Buxani Counseling Care. She also has an established career as a counselor in Dubai and the Cayman Islands and continues to help international clients via HIPAA-regulated video conferencing as a board-certified telemental health provider. She has practiced as a counselor for almost 20 years nationally and internationally in government, private practice, and school settings. Her approach to helping provides an empathetic, non-judgmental, and safe environment for clients to heal and become resilient through the therapeutic process. This resilience-based, client-centered approach to therapy allows her to empower clients to reclaim the inherent strength that lies within them. She aims to provide affordable, quality mental health support so that no individual or family suffers due to lack of access to such help. Before her work as a licensed mental health counselor, Dr. Rachna served as a counseling coordinator for 21 schools in the United Arab Emirates. Through her experiences, she has developed a keen awareness and understanding of the needs of young clients and their families. Specifically, she has extensive experience working with both teens and adults to overcome various challenges, including depression, anxiety, eating disorders, general life stresses, behavioral disturbances, interpersonal conflicts, and marital family dysfunction. Dr. Rachna's greatest strength when delivering interventions is her multicultural counseling experience. She is especially empathetic to cultural dynamics in the context of mental health issues amongst clients. Through a close collaboration with the client, she supports them in the process of change and aids with improving their overall satisfaction with life. And additionally, her dialectic behavioral therapy certification has resulted in her keen ability to teach mindfulness, relaxation, and distress tolerance techniques that provide clients with the skills necessary to navigate challenging life events. She is also the author of a book, which we're going to talk about today, A Pint of Patience and a Dollop of Love. Dr. Rachna is an active member of the American Counseling Association, American Psychology Association, and the American Mental Health Counseling Association. I'm so excited to get started with Dr. Rachna today. Let's go. First question, Dr. Rachna, I want to ask you is what inspired you to pursue a career in your field, and how has that initial inspiration evolved over time?
I think the desire to help, Nikki, is something that I feel some individuals are just born with, right? Like you know that you want to do something to make a difference. You know you want to do something to help people. So I knew that. I didn't know that I was going to get into mental health, but I knew I wanted to work with people. And then, obviously, my past is from Dubai, and I grown up there. Did part of my college over there, and I realized that people don't have people to talk to, because at that point, and that's, a little bit about my journey, how the 21 schools came about, because even when I graduated and went back, mental health was not a thing. So, I saw my friends suffer. I saw my friends' siblings suffer. I saw a lot of suffering around me, and absolutely no help available. So that kind of drove this whole idea that I really want to change this. I want to get into something that I can make a difference and I can help people.
That's incredible. And so at what point did you say you were going to go into psychology specifically?
So what happened is my journey actually started with me wanting to be a lawyer. I was very set on wanting to become a criminal lawyer in India and fight for women's rights. That plan fell apart because, I come from a conservative Indian family. So my dad was not very happy about me going and staying in India by myself and doing this. And so in college in Dubai, I ended up doing business because I'm from a business family, took psychology courses as electives, fell in love with it. And I said, okay, this is my path. This is what I want to pursue. And then went to Connecticut and then Boston to get my education done.
You've been doing this for almost 20 years. Like, that's amazing. How has your inspiration and, I don't know, like the energy to keep doing it changed? Because or shifted, not necessarily changed, but shifted, evolved, I think it's hard, right? This is hard work that people like you are doing. It takes a lot of energy to be doing it, especially when you see a lot of suffering. So how have you continued? How have you moved through the profession over a period of 20 years?
My journey started in Dubai. So I finished studying. I went back to Dubai and, was with a school and then ended up with the 21 schools. I thoroughly enjoyed it because I enjoyed working with, so the 21 schools had, Nikki, from American schools, British schools, Indian schools, Arab schools, right? So the whole cultural diversity and understanding of the problems that may be unique to certain cultures and still underlying problems that are same for everyone. I enjoyed that journey, Nikki, and I did a lot of outreach at that point. So I worked with television, I worked with radio because I really wanted to work to remove the stigma in the UAE about, with regards to mental health. So,
and what is the stigma though, over there versus over here? Do you think it's different?
No, it's the same.
It's the same.
Here's the thing. I think there are cultures that are more societal than individualistic, right? So you have a culture that's more societal where your primary worry is, okay, what are people going to say?
Yeah.
That's when the stigma is more pronounced. But even amongst cultures, where really the individual is important, you'll still see people and families not wanting to opt for mental health help, right? So I think the stigma is there everywhere. Now over there, the Muslim culture, and it's a very expat culture, especially in Dubai. Dubai is predominantly expat populations. It's, within your expat communities, then it becomes very difficult and you're like, okay, I don't want to be seen getting mental health help, right? So, and this is what I've been fighting for since I have started my journey. We are okay with somebody having cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. We're just not okay with depression, anxiety. And here's the thing, Nikki. I keep telling everyone, if you take care of that, chances are your physical health will follow. But the problem is that we focus so much on our physical health, not worrying about mental health. And then we have these chronic conditions that just keep going on.
The body keeps the score. I'm sure you've read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, but it's like a real thing. I mean, look, Dr. Rachna, I've never pretended, I was walking my dog once in my neighborhood and a neighbor said to me, oh, so you have a podcast now. So do you even have a background in psychology? I was like, no, man, I don't have a background in psychology. I just like to have great conversations with great people. But there's an element of this where I'm like, but I know people. I see people, and I don't think it takes it takes a rock. It might take a license to practice and formally help people, but I think people are people. And we can see each other, you know what I mean? And that's what this podcast is all about, is coming to a place where we can like really have these beautiful and open conversations and come to a place of really seeing each other and knowing ourselves for who we believe ourselves to be and stepping into that.
I do a lot of training. So, because I obviously with the 21 schools, I was in a supervisory situation. And then now with my team, because I have a team of therapists at Buxani Care. And I always tell them that, listen, you can train, you can have the skills, you can have the best CBT skills and DBT skills. If you don't have basic human compassion, and compassion to me is higher than empathy, because compassion truly is about going out there, wanting to, you feel the emotions of a person. And that to me, Nikki, makes the biggest difference of a great therapist and a good therapist, right? So I agree. It's ultimately the person, because I could have all the skills in the world and I'm just going to be an average therapist, or I could have skills, but I could really go at it with compassion and with the right intention. And that's when I'm going to make the difference.
Absolutely. So I also want to be clear for our listeners and for our audience, and I always kind of give this disclosure that Dr. Rachna is not my personal therapist. I've never worked with her personally, and I came to know her and loved what she was about. And that's why we decided that this would be a really good fit for both of our respective audiences. And so something that I also like to say is like, and it comes back to this idea that like, no, I'm not a therapist. No, I'm not psychologically trained. No, I'm not any of this. So like when I talk about like the things that I've read, like The Body Keeps the Score, that were like these books I talked about, what was it the other day? What Happened to You, when it was with Oprah and she had a psychologist also write the book with her. It's like, these are like a lot of what I say is like a regurgitation of what I've learned through other therapists through the years that I now get to bounce ideas off of with other therapists that I bring onto the show or other professionals, medical professionals in the industry. And I love having the opportunity and the access to be able to do this and bring it to people like in a way that Hello is free. Like it's free. Like podcasts are free.
We don't have enough people talking about this. So to me, I am grateful. If you're talking about this stuff, we need to address this stuff. We need to talk about this. There are people struggling, their families falling apart, their children who are really in dire straits, and we're not talking about this stuff. So I actually am very grateful.
Thank you. And I was talking to a family member just yesterday. And, another family member is like, is likely going to pass on soon. And I'm like, hey, you should really talk to a therapist about it. And this person that I'm addressing is much, much older than me. And this person says like, oh, no, I'm not going to get therapy. And I said, well, but why? And the person said, no, like I've been dealing with it all my life. Like it is what it is. And I'm thinking, just because we've been dealing with something all our lives doesn't mean that that's okay and that you have to continue to. Like at any age, you can really go and like shift your life. Like you don't have to, it's like living with chronic pain. Like you don't have to live with chronic pain. I just did a segment on women's intimate health, sexual health, like women who have had babies that they're experiencing prolapse. Like just because that's what your mom did doesn't mean that you have to continue, you have to do that. Like, and it's the same thing. And we're going to get into your parenting book, but like, this idea that like, well, this is what my parents did. So and I turned out okay. And like, so I'm going to keep doing what they did. It's like, once we know better, we do better. So let's know better and do better. So that leads us into like your book. So let's talk about your book. It's called A Pint of Patience and a Dollop of Love. And it's centered around parenting, right?
It is. So it's actually, that book came about because I used to write, when I was with the 21 schools, I had columns in both the major newspapers in Dubai. And it was parenting columns. And I would really write about what I saw. So, what worked, what didn't work. And I would put that into columns. And this book, Nikki, is a product of that. So I took those articles and I kind of compiled it into making this book. And I the reason for the name is because it's like a recipe book. I don't want people to read it from cover to cover, because it doesn't apply to everyone, right? So I can keep it as a resource for oh, now I have a tween. I don't know what to do with this. Or, oh, my toddler, or my, not toddler, a little bit older, elementary school kid is lying to me or stealing. What do I do with those things? So you pick up the book as and when you need it through the developmental journey of your kid.
Right. Like today I want spaghetti. Like today I'm craving spaghetti. Like, but I don't want it tomorrow. Like tomorrow I might need to have like a really good salad. Yeah, no, but I'm like, and I'm making that analogy, but it's like for people to like actually let that sink in, I think is really important. I think we read, and as a mother myself, like I have 3 children, I'm like, I read a parenting book looking for the answer. I'm like, I want the answer. I want the answer now. Like, I want the answer now. Like, how do I do it? How do I become the good parent? Like, the good parent is evolving. Like, I don't know, like.
I was going to say, as a disclaimer, there is no right and wrong. Nikki, I've worked in my span of these 22 years with so many families and so many parents, and majority of them really want to do the best for their children, right? So I think, even though these are tools, doesn't mean that it's going to work for your child, because I think the first step is to understand your child and to understand yourself.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Can we say that again? The first step is to understand your child and to understand yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's major.
If I don't know myself, and if I don't know why I react a certain way or why something triggers me, I'm not going to do anything about it. And then I'm going to keep believing that, oh, the child is bringing this. No, it's really me. It's stuff from my past. It's my baggage that I'm bringing into this relationship with my child. So I really do need to, and going back to something that you said about therapy and why people don't, I think what people need to understand is really, in the true sense, therapy is a journey into yourself, a journey to understand yourself, thus making everything better around you, right? So because if I know myself, my relationships are better, my work environment is better, everything kind of flows as long as I have an understanding of self. And that's the journey of therapy.
Do you know that like the no, like the reason why this show is called The No, like at first people were like, oh, it's in the know. It's not in the know. It's not about knowing everything. It's about like the deep inner knowing within ourselves. Like, and I think a lot of people are searching for that without even knowing. And like, to your point that like the reluctance to like go into therapy, and you can give me your professional feedback on this, is like, that's scary sometimes. That's really scary. Like, we don't want to, like we don't want to. I'm putting my hand up, like I'm blocking something. Like, I don't want to come into myself and deal with those things. It's easier to operate on autopilot, even if autopilot sucks.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one more thing that I think, people worry about. So when the whole world of mental health is designed around disorders, right?
Yeah.
So if you're coming to therapy, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what puts people away.
That's a problem.
Okay, I'm broken. Or
I'm broken
wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
There isn't. And I think that's what people need to understand, that I don't need to be broken. There doesn't need to be something wrong with me. I can go on this beautiful journey within myself, to understand myself again, to heal from any past traumas. And we all have traumas, right? So anything from my childhood, from my past, that has shaped me into being the person that I am today, and have better relationships in the future. Also, because I do a lot of couples counseling too, and I tell couples this all the time, it is a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey for couples to embark on together.
Yeah.
Because to enhance that understanding, to enhance that acceptance of each other, your relationship does not need to be broken to come into therapy, even as couples. So I think that's where people get stuck, and they're like, no, but what are you saying? That there's something wrong with me? No, but there doesn't have to be.
When it comes to like doing therapy with two people, right? Like both people have to be open to it and like genuinely open, not like I'm going to go because he wants me to go or she wants me to go, or I'm going to sit here and I'm going to check the box of like, yes, okay, I was there. But like actually really like be committed to like open-mindedness. I don't know, like open-mindedness over everything, right? Like just being open to the ideas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I use the Gottman method. Honestly, I think one of the most profound sessions that we have is session number 2, right? So session number 1 is when we bring, the couples come in together. And then session number 2 is individually with both, with the partners. And that's where we assess what is your commitment to this process. And really, if one of them is checked out or if one of them is not, it's not going to work. So absolutely right. Both people need to have that commitment towards bringing change.
Hold the phone, you guys. I want to take a break so I can tell you all about Cinderfit, my new best friend in the gym. Okay, so it's no secret, I work out like a lot, and I work out in a lot of different ways because, well, I like to keep things exciting and new and fresh and different. Enter the Cinderfit block. Listen, I am pretty strong, physically and emotionally, duh. And these blocks come in a range of weights that I'm using to add some versatility to my workouts. There's a lot that goes into my thought process when I'm making purchasing decisions. Everything in my home and my life has to be functional. If it doesn't have a function, I don't want it. But I think it's also no secret that I'm really into aesthetics. I like things to also look nice. So I love that Cinderfit has created a stylish, design-oriented, and functional product. Basically, it's like a gym in a block. I don't know if y'all saw, but I stacked my 15 and 25-pound blocks in my home gym, and they're actually like pretty and functional. So I love them. I've been sumo squatting, deadlifting, bicep curling, mountain climbing. Like the workout, obviously, no, I'm not climbing any literal mountains in Miami. I've been tricep dipping, Russian twisting, and I can even attach resistance bands to these bad boys and do all kinds of resistance training with them. I'm having fun, seriously. I also love that Cinderfit has all kinds of supplemental videos on their site, so I can get a high-intensity training workout in, some sculpting, and even some flow-based inspiration when I need it. Whether you are a beginner or you're doing advanced workouts, you're going to be able to use the Cinderfit block, and I'm not even kidding you guys, it can easily replace all of your workout equipment. You know I've got the hookup and I love to share all my great finds with you guys, so for a limited time, you'll be able to get free shipping on these heavy bad boys with my code NikkiSpo when you order your Cinderfit block at www.cinderfit.com. Summer is coming. I legit think of Game of Thrones every time I say that. You know when they say like winter is coming in Game of Thrones, and I think it's like a thing? Well, here in Miami, summer is coming and we need to get ready, folks. Go to cinderfit.com and order yours like right now. I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors, Sana Skin Studio. The best way for me to describe Sana is that it feels like coming home. Unlike traditional facials, Sana's facials are rooted in education, and I love this so much. Every experience I've had at Sana has been a chance to learn more about my skin and its needs. I love that the facials are effective while also being accessible enough to be a monthly ritual rather than a yearly splurge. I'm honored to be able to provide our audience with a promo code. Use the code THENOGLOW for $25 off of your first facial at Sana when booking via sanaskinstudio.com. I've been through like every type of therapy because like for a long time I was like, I really truly believe, Dr. Rachna, that I was like bad. You know, and like the messaging that I received as like a child, an adolescent, a young adult was like, bad, you're bad, like you're bad. Like all of my mistakes made me bad. You know, like, you know how like you say, okay, maybe those choices weren't my best choices, but like I identified as my choices being bad, making me bad, right? So I've honestly like, and I have a full disclosure, I'm very honest about my own mental health journey. And I'm not saying this in a way for it to be a therapy session for me. This is not, but I know that when I share like personal tidbits of my own life, people are like, damn, like I can relate to that, you know? So I share that in that context, right? I share this in that context. I've been to like every type of therapist. I've been to talk therapy. I've been to DBT. I've been to CBT. I've been to hypnotherapy. I've been to I've done the Gottman method. I've done like all different, I've been to psychiatrists. I've been especially after my postpartum times, like I've taken medication to help me through those moments. I have no shame in my game when it comes to like addressing mental health. And I really, really, really want to like normalize the conversation around it, because I'm here, man, I want to live a good life, Dr. Rachna. I want to live a happy life, and that doesn't mean that everything's happy, but that means that I can get through things with like more confidence, ease, and joy.
And move towards contentment, towards that peace, right? But how am I going to get
How are we going to get there?
Have chaos. And listen, no chaos. I didn't bring this chaos onto myself, right?
Right.
Any client who walks in, they have situations that presented in their lives that resulted in them having this chaos. So to move from that chaos to that contentment, sometimes you just need that help to be able to do that. And that's really what therapy is.
Absolutely.
No matter what technique you use. Honestly, Nikki, you've mentioned some of, the most, evidence-based practices that we have in our field. But at the end of the day, what research has also found is there's really no one technique that's better than the other. And the technique itself only accounts for 30% of the growth or the change that we see in the client, right? So really that 70%, which is majority of it, is the relationship, is the trust, is the, what happens in that session between the therapist and the client. So that's so profound, so, and I often smile when somebody comes into a session with me, the first session, and they're like, okay, so I'm sorry, so what have you certified in? And I'll go through the spiel with them, because I'll tell them exactly what my certifications are. And then I'll tell them this, because I'll tell them, listen, you know what? It doesn't even matter. Because if you don't like me, if you don't connect with me, if you don't feel that you can walk out of here having some hope that things are going to be different, don't come back, because I'm not going to be able to help you.
Right. Okay. So that brings me to another thing that like I didn't even have on my mind before until you brought it up. So like I hear a lot of complaints from friends and just people in general, like it's so hard to find a therapist, and it's almost like dating. Like you need to get a dating app, you need to get a therapist app to see if you like match with the therapist well, and it's hard. Like thank goodness, and here's another thing. And when I mentioned this in my introduction of you, is that like that you're passionate about bringing affordable care to people, but like I, like full transparency, can access the best care. I have resources. I have the money to access the best care. If that's not lost on me, I'm grateful for it. It's not lost on me. So I can immediately narrow down like who people are the top of the field who don't take insurance, by the way, that like can get me the help that I need. But that's not the reality. Like that's not the reality for the majority of the people. So like it upsets me a little bit. And more than anything, I'm like, I feel how frustrating that could be for people, because you have to like spend all this time and money and energy and like seeing a therapist within working hours, right? Like essentially business hours, to do this for yourself. And how do you find the right person?
Right. So there's two parts to this thing. One is I think there is a systematic issue, right? Now, Nikki, I come from originally India, and then of course lived in Dubai, right? And we really didn't have access. We don't have insurances covering mental health. Now, we have very, very little, but we do have mental health help available in the UAE, but it's too expensive because there's no insurances covering it. Most people can't really afford it. They can't go, right? Here, most of your major insurances actually cover mental health.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is this. We don't have enough mental health professionals for the number of people seeking help. Why? Because as a field, Nikki, we don't get paid. We have to increase the pay. We just do. Insurances have to pay more to mental health therapists so that more people can get into the field.
It's like everything.
Right.
Like teachers.
Exactly. Because the unfortunate thing is after you go through this gruesome process of years and years of education and then internship and then, all these licensure exams and then keeping up your licensure because you have to take all the CEUs. And then insurance companies pay you this much. And you're thinking, okay, what did I do? So then you're talking, and the rate of burnout, because it's a difficult job, like you first, rightly said, it's stressful, it's draining. So to do that and to provide for your family, really, there has to be a systematic change. So that's one thing, that we don't have enough people for the number of people asking for help, right? The other thing is about finding the right therapist. And I think that is a trial and error process. I don't see a way around it, Nikki, because, it's only when you are in that room and when you talk to that person that in your gut.
I know in my gut.
Right, that this is the right person or this is not.
Like I know within like 5 minutes of talking to the person.
I was going to say a lot of therapists, including Buxani here, we do these 15-minute consultations. And the reason we do that is because of that, right? Because we understand that you, as a client, you have to feel that connection. Because for me, I connect with almost all my clients, right? Because I really just am very passionate. I love what I do, Nikki. So for me, when somebody walks in, my whole purpose is I need to help this person. But the client has to feel that connection with me. And unfortunately, that is a trial and error process where, make use of that 15-minute consult so that you're not wasting an hour.
Well, everybody's time, right? Like it's everybody's time. Like I don't want to waste my time. Like my time is valuable too. As a client, like my time is valuable. You as a professional, your time is valuable. So definitely. I want to talk about like the CBT and DBT because I know that you do have your certification with CBT and I've done all of them. So but like
do you know what's my favorite though? Because you mentioned the CBT and DBT, but my favorite is actually ACT.
I've done that. See, I haven't done that.
Okay. So ACT is little bias there, but ACT is acceptance and commitment therapy. And it really comes from, so Steve Hayes went to India, studied mindfulness, Hindu, he studied the concepts and came back and has created this therapeutic approach, which really, I think every approach takes a little bit from CBT and then adds in a little bit of their own. And I think that acceptance part is extremely powerful because there are situations in my life that I cannot change. And I keep fighting and fighting and fighting with those situations. And what acceptance and commitment really teaches you, one of the things and one of the key things it teaches you is acceptance of, okay, I understand that I would rather not have this in my life, but fighting with it is only going to make me stay in that space. So I do have to accept. I do, have to build that acceptance about situations, about people, about myself, and I can find a way forward. So that's kind of my favorite.
So for the people who don't know, who might be listening to this and thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot of information. We talked about the Gottman method. We're throwing out letters like CBT and DBT. Like let's just break it down for those people because we want them to leave here understanding what options they have, what might be best for them. Like if they're listening to this. So the Gottman method, like in a short nutshell, what is the Gottman method?
Couples counseling. It's really enhancing communication in relationships. Because what the Gottmans found through research, and really it's the only evidence-based practice that we have in couples therapy, right? So,
right.
And what they found with the tons of research they've done is when, couples can get through major life hurdles. But if the communication breaks down, then that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what affects relationships and affects them very negatively. So that's everything. It's a very skill-based. I love the Gottman method because it's not, you're not talking as a therapist. I'm not talking at my clients, right?
Right.
They are doing the work in the session and I'm kind of there
Guiding.
coaching and guiding them through this. So it's beautiful. But really enhancing communication in relationships. And I've actually used the Gottman method when I'm dealing with any sort of relationship. So sometimes I'll have a parent and a child come in, and there you go. I'm teaching them, ways of communicating that you're not attacking, you're not defensive, and all. So
Four Horsemen. Oh my gosh. I did it, but for those of you listening, I have a whole other episode like that just solely focuses on the Gottman method. But like one of the things that we do talk about is the Four Horsemen and how I'm going to use a symbolic word, deadly that can be to a relationship. But yes, so there is a communication element to it, and like the Gottman method is really primarily focusing on that. What about what's the difference between DBT and CBT?
Okay, so CBT is cognitive behavior therapy. That's really one of the original therapeutic models that we had. Very practical, very hands-on. What it does is it's in the name. So cognitive behavior. So what it does is it helps you change negative thought patterns, and it helps you change your behavior, right? We generally tend to start with behavior because behavior is the easiest for me to change. And then we work on the thought patterns. And the idea is that if we do that, the emotions follow, right? Because I'll see a difference in my emotions. So that's, CBT in the most basic and traditional sense. DBT is dialectical behavior therapy, and that was created by Marsha Linehan. It really started for people with personality disorders and primarily borderline personality. And Nikki, I think you and I have to do a full show on personality disorders because that is a huge thing.
I'm writing it down.
Most people, when they come to us for depression, for anxiety, for, I have a brain fog, I can't focus, it's really coming from a personality disorder because I believe that there are way more people with personality disorders than we actually, care to acknowledge. Not everybody has a personality disorder, but they have personality disorder traits.
Mm-hmm.
They have traits that then, but what's glaring to us is the depression and anxiety. But really, root cause is I was abandoned as a child. I was not, my needs were not taken care of. I went through the severe trauma as a kid. And so there are these issues with personality that we really have to acknowledge because the issue is this, Nikki, if I don't deal with that, it doesn't matter what I'm doing for my depression, anxiety, it's not going to work.
Yes, you're right. It's superficial.
So that's why. But DBT primarily started for people with borderline personality. And Marsha Linehan herself struggles with borderline personality. That's why she kind of developed this. And again, a very skill-based approach. You have 4, modules of DBT. You have the mindfulness, emotional dysregulation, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, and really it gives you skills. Because what happens with people with borderline personality is that they get very dysregulated when they feel insecure. So my boyfriend is not answering my phone. I've texted him. Oh my gosh.
This is a theoretical situation, guys.
Right. And it's so, why is he answering the phone? Does he not love me? Oh my gosh, am I an unlovable person? Oh gosh, he's going to leave me. How am I? Okay, there, I've catastrophized this.
Yeah, catastrophized. Yes.
I've made this, and the result of that is I feel anxious. So now I am going to get treated for anxiety without realizing, okay, hold on a second. But this perspective, this skewed perspective, this thought pattern is not coming from anxiety. It's really coming from my childhood stuff.
A thought pattern established in childhood.
Exactly.
based on circumstances and the thing, like, right? Because like when we're children, we don't know. We fill in the blanks. We don't know the storyline of the adults in our lives, so we just fill in the blanks of whatever we have in our brains.
Absolutely. And so what dialectic behavior therapy does is it teaches you skills. Okay, how do I stay in that moment of distress, right?
Yeah.
So, instead of self-harm, because now, oh my gosh, it's so difficult for me to bear this anxiety that I need to fix it. So I'm going to do something to hurt myself because, we've seen a lot of people borderline engage in self-harm behaviors. Or I'm going to consistently call my boyfriend because, till he picks up the phone. And then sure enough, the boyfriend's going to leave you because now he thinks this is crazy. Like, why are you doing that? Right? So dialectic behavior therapy gives you skills, teaches you how to manage those really difficult moments, in addition to mindfulness, teaching you some practices of mindfulness. And people often, when we talk about mindfulness, they think we're talking about meditation.
Yes, correct.
Like, okay, that's the only way, but it isn't. Meditation is one way of practicing mindfulness. There's a whole host of ways. One of the most important concepts of mindfulness is in a non-judgmental fashion. Right?
I love that.
So being able to absorb whatever without judgment, and really, really difficult to do.
So difficult.
Being present, again, very difficult to do because as human beings, we're programmed to live in the future or live in the past. And both those states bring about a lot of anxiety, right? Because this example that I just gave you about the girlfriend who's stressed, it's like, oh my gosh, but nobody's going to love me. She's going to break up with me. I'm going to be alone.
That's the story, right?
Right? So, but in this present moment, I'm just not programmed to live in that present moment. So what mindfulness teaches you through various techniques, including meditation, is how to be present.
Yes, I love that. So I want to talk, Dr. Rachna, really quickly because this came up for me. Obviously, I was like, oh my gosh, that's scary, right? Like I immediately had my own like gut reaction to like personality disorder. Like I listened to a podcast on this other show that I love. It's called Call Her Daddy, and it's very raunchy show, but she's evolving and she's like, I love her for who she is. I listen to this Alex Cooper all the time. I love her delivery. I love her style. I love the way that she interviews. And her show has really gone from something like a 20-something-year-old sex life into talking about things that are like really important in terms of mental health and how to be treated and what to look for in relationships. And she's talking about like real adult things. And I loved witnessing her evolution. And so I listened to this woman a lot. And she recently had on a guest with a personality disorder. And it was so refreshing to hear her speak about her journey because I'm like, she's a celebrity, right? And she gave like a really normal face to something that feels really scary. Like obviously I had a visceral reaction. I'm like, personality disorder. Oh no. Like, no, it's not that. It's not that big. Like it might be big. There might be big consequences and results and whatever from having untreated personality disorders. But like, oh, what a relief that like this is normal-ish.
Absolutely. And can I tell you something? It is no different than somebody struggling with anything else. So if I'm sad excessively and I go and seek help or when I'm going through postpartum and I go and seek help, it's very similar, Nikki. So there are no, when we think about situations that people go through, right? Because I don't even really like using the word disorder. So when we think about these challenges that people go through, there's no one challenge that's bigger or more grave than the other. That person, that's a challenge. And let's deal with it, right? When you come into me, one of the questions that I was reading, that you wanted to discuss with me is that, what are some, let me phrase it correctly. Let me just read it from here. How do you handle a challenging or difficult patient? And really my answer to that was there are no challenging or difficult patients. There are challenging and difficult situations that these in. And really, it doesn't matter what they come in as symptoms. We have to help them navigate that. And personality is just one other symptom that we have to help them navigate. It's no different than anything else that people come in with.
I love hearing that. And I hope that brings people a lot of hope and like some silver lining, if you will, because like, I think when a lot of people think about going out to get help, like it feels so overwhelming and daunting and scary. And I think that by having more and more of these conversations, I'm hoping that we can shift that a little bit. And I think that like my generation and the generation like that's coming after me, like these kids are woke, they're awake, they're like into it. They know. I'm like, yes, young king, yes, young queen, like you take care of you. I love to see it. And I think that just like, you know, the internet, TikTok, I mean, Instagram has so many like negative things, but for one thing, it is bringing a lot of access to information that wouldn't otherwise be discussed publicly. And, you know, I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful to this platform. And I'm grateful, like, because think about it, like, even if without it, like I might not have crossed paths with you, you know, like there's so many people that I might not have crossed paths with, like had it not be for like.
Absolutely. And
social.
Absolutely. And Nikki, I told you this, you know, even when we started that, for me as a therapist and a therapist who's on a journey to really eradicate to the best way possible the stigma surrounding mental health and you know, have people reach out. I am truly grateful for people who are having these conversations because we really do have to normalize it.
We do.
You have to understand that we're all going to have some challenges in our lives. No one is devoid of that, right? So when you know, coming into a therapeutic, a safe environment, a non-judgmental environment where you're working with someone to really navigate those challenges, I think is a beautiful experience, an experience that I wish every human being could have, you know, to gain that self-awareness. Because again, you know, to find that contentment, or what we talk about self-actualization, it cannot happen till I have an understanding of myself.
That's right.
You know, an understanding of self cannot happen unless I really deal with some of those difficulties.
Yeah, that's right.
That have happened in my past. I really do need to navigate. I need to heal from those things. And then I need to become the best version of myself.
Dr. Rachna, I'm so thankful to have you on the show. I've loved my time chatting with you. I know that we're, you know, like I always say, like even if we help one person today, like I feel like we'll have done something really, really special. Yes. But I don't think we're just helping one person. I think that we're going to be helping like so many people. And I'm so grateful for you. Everybody, this is Dr. Rachna Buxani-Mirpuri. And Dr. Rachna, where can we find you? Where can people find you?
Several ways. You can follow us on social media. I have a team that does a phenomenal job posting mental health awareness stuff. So Buxani Care is our social handle, buxanicare.com. So that's our website. You can request to book an appointment through that. Or you can call the office, and the number is 786-808-HOPE. Because I believe hope is very, very big. If people can leave my office with that hope, I know that they're going to bring change. So, but they can call, you can email us, rachna@buxanicare.com or admin@buxanicare.com. You can reach us through our website. You can reach us through our socials. So lots of ways.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Rachna Buxani-Mirpuri. We're so grateful to have you here. We're so grateful for your energy and all of the love and compassion that you bring to your profession. And I hope that you just continue to shine light on all these things that are super important so that we can all find the best versions of ourselves.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it, and I truly appreciate your initiative.
What is up, Truth Speakers? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Know, brought to you by Cinderfit, my new favorite piece of workout equipment, which can easily replace all of your existing workout stuff. Because no one likes clutter. You can pretty much do it all fitness-wise with a Cinderfit block. So, like I said earlier, summer is coming. It's time to get your fitness game on so you're feeling great, not just for summer, but for life. Get free shipping on your heavy Cinderfit block for a limited time by using my code NikkiSpo when you check out at www.cinderfit.com. Enjoy! This podcast was brought to you by Sana Skin Studio. Be sure to use my code, TheNoGlow, for $25 off of your first facial at Sana when booking via sanaskinstudio.com. More than a skin studio, Sana is a movement towards healthier skin and self-love. Thank you so much for listening to The Know. If you loved this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend. Words are so powerful, and someone may need to hear what we covered today. And if you really loved this episode, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. Your comments are so important and valued, and they give other listeners insight on what to expect on The Know. You can connect with me personally via Instagram at NikkiSapSpo and The Know with Nikki Spo. My hope for you today is that you are fearless in looking inward so that you can be your highest, most authentic self and go after the life of your dreams.